Hi everybody, I wanted to share my experience of Anandi Sano's energy flow and what that means to me and what that could potentially mean to you. A couple of years ago at the start of 2020, I came across an online meditation with Anandi Sano and I decided to join it. It was free, it was a Friday night. It was a beautiful thing to do on a Friday night. So I set myself up, I laid back, put the meditation on, and it was beautiful. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to look into who she is. So I jumped on the website and it led me to peakinternational.com. What was written resonated. It talked about these energetic layers of self, and when things happen to us, energetic densities sit within the layers and affect how we act, how we talk, how we speak, how we think about life and what we feel within our bodies and how we feel about the world around us. And it was as if someone just turned a switch on in my brain. It just resonated, everything about it. And I got curious. I got really curious for myself. So I booked in a session with Crystal, and there was just something about this session that was different to anything I'd tried. I just came to a level of complete nothingness in my head. I wasn't thinking about things. I wasn't worried about anything. It was just a calm that I had never experienced before. So we were talking, Crystal and I, and she suggested that I come to the foundation course of Peak. And there was one in like 2 weeks' time or something, and I was thinking, oh, I've got a small baby, how could I possibly commit to 2 full days away from my baby and my other children and husband. But you know, as it's always happened in my life, I find a way. I knew I had to be there, so I turned up. But in the lead up to going, so it was a weekend course, Saturday and Sunday, and I'll never forget how I felt on the Friday before the Saturday and Sunday. I just had this moment where something came over me and I had to sit down, because it was like, it's really hard to describe. So I had a history of these small, like, little anxiety attacks. It wasn't a panic attack, but it was like I'd have to sit and I'd get really scared because I would think that I would pass out. And as a mum with 3 small children, passing out at home alone with 3 small kids freaked me out. I got so worried about that I would have to calm down. I'd have to do some breathing, and I'd have to smell my essential oils, and then I would be back to normal again. So that's what I kind of had a history of. But this was different. It was the same feeling, like I had to sit down, but it wasn't fear and anxiety that came over me. It was like a rush of, oh, how do I describe it? It was like a rush of complete and utter love flooding my body, and calmness and joy, and it was almost euphoric. Like I was like, oh, you know, what is this? I remember sitting down and closing my eyes and just being in it and just going, wow, I can feel something. And then, you know, it passed, or I got distracted and life went on that day. But I remember saying to myself, if this is what Anandi Sano's energy is and this peak thing is, then I want to know more. And if I feel the same way over the weekend, then it's got to be real. Like, it's got to be something to it. It's got to be worth investigating. So that was the Friday, and then I turned up to the event, the workshop, the 2-day workshop for the Saturday and the Sunday. So if you can hear a noise, it's my cat chasing a bauble. And I turned up and had the most incredible 2 days. of connection and learning about peak and what this thing called core was, and about my energetic layers of self and what happens in life and to my energy. And I just found it fascinating. And yes, as soon as I stepped into that room, I felt that energy engulf my body for the 2 full days. And I had moments where, you know, we'd go to lunch and my bag was on the floor, and I'd go down to my bag, you know, in a deep squat and sitting getting things, and then I'd stand up. And I explain that because normally I'd be in a lot of pain in my knees. I'd feel it going down, and then it would be uncomfortable on the floor, and then I'd feel my knees again when I stand up. And I got none of that. It was just gone. It was completely gone. It blew my mind. So yeah, that was my first experience of Anandi Sano's energy flow. She was gifted with this flow. It's the flow of God. It's the flow of source, universal source energy that exists within all of us, and we all have access to it. It's called going to core. And it is there 24/7 for us too. But what can pull us away from feeling it, from living in that space, is our life and what we call life moments. So these life moments sit in our energetic layers of self and restrict the flow of this universal life source energy. So peak gives you the tools to be able to create space in your layers so that the universal flow can be there and feel it and keep you in that space, rather than being pulled away to the lower layers and creating decisions from there. You can come back to core and make decisions with clarity and guidance, and being on purpose. So I think I'll leave you with that, but I just wanted to share my experience of how I met Anandi, how I felt the flow and what it felt to me, because it feels very different to everybody. And I have to say that description of the anxiety that I felt before I found Anandi and peak, where I'd have to stop and I'd be in fear of passing out or whatever was going to happen to me, like there was dread, something was going to happen, has not happened since. Not once. I don't get anxious anymore. Yes, I go into overwhelm because life is full. I've got 3 small boys. They are beautiful, but life gets busy. So overwhelm still exists for me. But I have the tools to be able to get through the overwhelm myself. It's about healing self. And that's a topic for another video, but I just want to leave you with my little experience of Anandi Sano. I also have written a bit more of my story in a chapter of a book called A Beautiful You, and I'll leave the link in this video below. If you would like to hear more about my stories of peak energy medicine, my experience with Anandi Sano and my spiritual awakening, my spiritual journey, then please like and subscribe this video, and I'll be doing many, many more. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and have a beautiful day.